Hello, my name is Kim and welcome to the Embroidered Elephant channel. Today I am going to be briefly going through all of the DIYs that I did for mine and my partner's wedding about a month ago, or probably a month and a half, 2 months ago by the time you see this video. So we decided to do our wedding sort of completely by ourselves. Most of the things were DIY'd or personalised or sort of done somewhat by ourselves throughout the evening and throughout the sort of months before. I am going to go through everything that I can think of that we did. I will be going through them quite briefly because there are quite a lot, but I have broken them down into 4 categories. So we have got clothing and accessories, gifts that we gave beforehand, decor and tables, and everything else. Everything that doesn't fit into a category neatly. So let's get started. Before I start with the first category, I just want to give a little disclaimer that I will try and show as many pictures as I can of the different DIYs that we did. However, there were some things that we didn't get pictures of, so some might be examples, and any links that I can leave below I will do. So the first category is clothing and accessories. I have made a few videos on the making of my dress. I made this from scratch. The only thing that I bought for it was the corset, which I recovered and redecorated. I made a garter for the wedding day as well. This was made with lace that was of sentimental value and it had a blue ribbon on it, so something blue. I made my veil, so I did buy a floral hair piece and I deconstructed it, added a veil, cut this to shape and to size, and then reattached the floral part to the headpiece. I made my bouquet. I crocheted this. Again, there is a separate video if you would like to watch it. And I made the boutonnieres for all of the men that were attending that had an active part in the wedding. And I made little flowers for my mother and my mother-in-law's wrist as well, again crocheted. And my mum made a pair of Converse for me for the evening when my feet got a bit too tired for very high heels. So she added diamantes around the toes, put dates on the back, the date of our wedding, and put my name and my partner's name on each side of the shoe. So that was really nice, and I definitely did wear them and I have worn them quite a bit since. The only issue for me is that they're white. I'm quite clumsy, so I'm worried about them getting too dirty, but they're great, they're lovely. Now on to the gifts I gave before the wedding. So the first one, and some of these kind of cross over into the clothing as well, clothing/accessories. So I bought some ties for my brother and my dad, and I bought a photo for the back of the tie. So I personalised it, so there was a photo of me and my brother after we'd won a swimming award when we were very, very small. For my dad, I had a photo of myself, him and my brother, which was very nice. I had a silver brooch personalised for my partner. I had a sentimental picture printed for inside the brooch, and he wore this inside his jacket for the ceremony for someone who was unfortunately not able to be there. So another gift I had for my partner for the morning of our wedding was a canvas that I had written on. So I bought a plain black canvas from Amazon and I used a Posca white Sharpie pen to write the name of our first dance song on, and some of the lyrics as well. So I thought that that would be really nice and sentimental, something that we can put up, and because it's not sort of in your face of that it was a wedding, I thought that it might be quite a nice addition to a wall if we print out some pictures and have those near it as well. The next couple of things that I had made for my wedding party. So I had a hip flask engraved for my brother, so it's got his initials and it's got his name in the middle. I thought that that would be really nice for the wedding, or he can just have it when he goes out to parties, just as a nice little thank you, something that he can use again. And for my bridesmaids and my mum, I made little green mesh bags, and inside there I put a selection of things that they might want the night before or the day of or the day after the wedding. So as an example, and this is not an exclusive list, I added things such as a face mask, foot masks, hand masks, Vaseline for sore lips, polos, a little chocolate bar, little handmade gifts, hand sanitizer, a little perfume bottle, the refillable one, so that they could have it with them if they wanted to take it. And I bought each of my mum, my sister and my sister-in-law a necklace or a bracelet. So they all coordinated, but they were all different designs, if that makes sense. And they all looked similar to the colour of my ring. So I will link the jewellery shop below as well. I did make a little bag for my brother, but he had less of the girly things. I still gave him a face mask, but he had less of the sort of extra things that my sister and my sister-in-law might want. And then just to pop on the end of here, my mum did my makeup and my hair on the morning of the wedding, the same as she did for my sisters and my sister-in-law and herself as well. Lastly, before I move on, I did make some DIY coat hangers for myself, my mum, my sister and my sister-in-law. So I put our names at the top of the hangers, and I put some baby's breath just going down the side. And this was really nice. I had in my mind that what I wanted to do was to have a picture of all of our dresses hanging up, and you'd be able to see each of the names on the hangers, and it's something that they can take home and use again, so that they all looked uniform and it looked really pretty, if I do say so myself. Next category I'm moving on to will be the decoration / the tables. So we hired a hall to do the wedding at, so we laid out the tables ourselves. With the hall we had plain tables and plain chairs, and that was sort of, the rest was up to us to decorate and organise. So the first thing that I made was some table covers. So the tables were they're quite long and quite slim, so regular tablecloths you'd probably need 2 to cover it. So I bought a roll of polycotton, just plain white polycotton, extra wide. I cut them to length, and that was quite difficult, to be honest. Me and my partner were crouching on the floor for ages with a pair of scissors and a measuring tape, trying to get them to the right length straight from the roll. And I simply just overlocked the edges. So I overlocked the long raw edges, and the ones on the end I left plain, just because it was a selvage and they were already sort of okay. I don't think anyone really paid attention to the tablecloths, and at the end of the day, if they got stained, it wasn't too much of an issue because I'd made them myself. I knew that they weren't very expensive and I didn't spend a lot of time on them. The chair covers, chair sashes, and we had a long strip of fabric going around the middle. They were all bought, so they weren't DIY'd. On the subject of the tables, my nan bought lots of, I think we had 11 tables in total. My nan bought a selection of vases, filled them with silver beads, and had beautiful faux flowers coming out the top. She'd made all of the arrangements herself, which was really, really pretty, and we just had one of those on each table. We also made table numbers so that it showed pictures of myself and my partner at the age of the table, if that makes sense. So on the first table it was when we were 1, and it had baby pictures, when we were 2, when we were 3, etc. I don't know if I'll be able to show them, just because obviously baby pictures are quite personal, but there are loads and loads of selections online, loads of ideas and photos of said table numbers, but they were really cute. I didn't specifically ask anyone about them, but I know that I really enjoyed making them, and I know that his family and my family would have really enjoyed looking at the different pictures as well. The next thing, a little thing that we did, was to make all of the name cards. So we had bought the name cards, but my mum did a calligraphy course and wrote each of the names out, which looked really beautiful. So moving on to the other decoration of the hall. So we made a table plan. So I bought from Hobbycraft a big sort of poster board, I think it's called. It's foldable, it's made of cardboard. It was just plain white when we bought it. We painted it green and drew on the tables, wrote everyone's name down, obviously numbered the tables, and then my brother made a list of all of the guests in alphabetical order and put what number table they were on. That made it quite easy for people to find themselves, and I know that it was fairly easy to use as well. We were going back and forth about the easiest way of doing it. I thought that was the easiest way because the tables weren't just straight, they were sort of arched. So it might have been a bit more difficult to just tell people that they're going to table 11 or table 9 or what have you if they didn't know exactly where it was placed in the room. So yeah, that took a long time. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. Onto the decoration, I made a flower garland. So I strung loads of dry flowers onto cotton. I tried loads of different methods. Cotton was the best one. And I made a selection of those, put them against the wall so that we could have a sort of floral background for photographs. I will see if I've got any pictures. If I haven't, I will take a picture of one of the small testers that I made. And yeah, I know that I've got photos in front of them, but I don't necessarily think that my family members want their pictures to be used in this video, which is fine. My family also made a balloon arch. We bought the kit, but technically they made the balloon arch. That was, I think it was very time consuming. I don't think it was particularly difficult, I think, because we had the kit and everything sort of came with it. So yeah. And the last category is everything else. So this is everything that didn't fit nicely into one category, and it probably will be a little bit random. So the first thing that was made by ourselves or made by my partner was our wedding cake. So we didn't have a traditional wedding cake, we had wedding brownies. So he made a 5-tier brownie cake that we were able to cut into, so that was quite nice to have the traditional sense of cutting the cake. The reason that we had brownie is firstly because I absolutely love it and my partner loves it as well, and I eat a gluten-free diet. So a lot of the cakes that you can get that are gluten-free are either fairly expensive, more expensive than a normal wedding cake, and they don't taste as nice, whereas usually brownies are gluten-free. So I made the decision, or I politely asked whether we could have a brownie for the wedding, and it went down a treat. It was actually chocolate orange, which is my absolute favourite. Next we had painted some cake toppers. So you could buy them online. Again, I like the idea of painting them ourselves. So I bought the people at Hobbycraft and we painted them separately, so my partner didn't see exactly what my dress looked like, and I didn't know what his suit looked like, what colour it was, whether he had a tie. I didn't know anything about his suit, just that he was wearing a suit. So it was really nice to see them together on the day on top of our cake. We DIY'd our playlist, so we just paid for Spotify and had all of the songs that were requested by guests and just all of our favourite songs. We kept narrowing it down, so we had a playlist for when people were arriving, a playlist for obviously when I was walking down the aisle, and a playlist for the dancing afterwards. I'm not gonna lie, it did take a long time to put this playlist together and sort of iron out all of the creases. However, there was never a time during the dancing that there weren't quite a big selection of people up dancing. If I can give any advice, I would say that it is important to consider your guests, so don't put songs on that they would never dance to. However, it is your event, and as long as you're having a good time, that's the most important thing. And the people that aren't going to dance really, regardless of what music you put up. So I would say concentrate on yourself. As long as you're happy with the selection, then that's the most important thing. We had an entry board outside of the wedding. That it was a blackboard that we borrowed from a friend of my mum's. We just wrote our names on the front so that people knew exactly where to come in, where the event was, and I added some flowers and things to make it more on theme as well. In the evening, obviously, we had a selection of drinks. My partner enjoys making punch, so he made quite a lot of punch for everyone to have during the evening. Quite a strong drink, but if anyone's interested, I can see if I can sneak the recipe. Yeah, that was really nice. It was sort of orange. It's a tropical kind of drink, I guess. That was a big part of the evening because he is quite well known for making that in the family. And it is something that sort of represents him as well, and it was a big contribution. For the evening, we had a game that was spin the wheel, so we bought it online and we just added lots of little truths or dares to the game, things that are slightly embarrassing or things that we would really enjoy as well. So for example, we had take a picture with a stranger, or hug a stranger, or sign the guest book if you haven't already, go up and dance to the next song. There was a selection of things. I'll see if I can pop them on here. We had a guest book that we didn't make, but it was personalised. It is on Amazon, so I will drop the link below. All of the invitations and the thank you cards were designed and printed by ourselves. So I designed them all on Canva. The invitations we printed off at home, cut them all out and sent them all to the various family members and friends that were invited. And for the thank you cards, again, I designed them on Canva and we had these printed online just because the quality would be different and it came with all the envelopes, so it was less to think about. And especially after a wedding, you don't particularly want to be thinking about printing everything, buying envelopes, buying this, that and the other. You just want to sort of say thank you to everyone who needs a thank you and relax. Another thing that we did for our cards to just add a special touch was to put a wax seal on the back. So my beautiful friend gave me the idea because she always uses wax seals and it just adds another beautiful personal note. So we got a wax seal made of mine and his initials. So all of the envelopes had our stamp on and it was really nice to do together. It was sort of quite a long process, as you can imagine. It was really nice to do, and everyone who has seen them so far has commented on how lovely they are and how much of a nice idea it is. Initially I wasn't going to do any favours, however I found a few ideas that weren't too expensive close to the date. So the first one I had was, I was on Vinted and I saw someone that was selling lots of heart-shaped soaps. So I bought the selection, there was enough for everyone, and I bought little organza bags for them to go into. My lovely friend made a selection of cards to thread onto each of the bags. So it had thank you so much for coming, and it had our names and just the date at the bottom so that everyone knew that it was soap, hopefully. And the other idea I came across was biscuits for everyone. So my lovely mum bought a selection of biscuits from M&S that were all gluten-free. She had a stamp that had something like thank you for celebrating with us, or something along those words, and she stamped on fondant icing and attached that to each of the biscuits. So they were more favours that we had. As it was a ceremony we did amongst ourselves, we did find a lot of ideas online, however we rewrote it and changed a lot of the wording so that it was more personal to myself and my partner. When we were going through it, we were thinking about what was most meaningful to us, and we wanted it to be something that we would say or we would promise to each other so that it was exactly what we wanted. And we each wrote our vows as well. And the last thing that we did for the wedding, technically afterwards, is I made my mum a butterfly of history. So I used scraps from my wedding dress, the parts that went well and the parts that went wrong. I used parts of her wedding dress and just made a beautiful framed butterfly. I embroidered on the bottom the date and just a little message to her, and on the back I wrote and described each of the different parts that were included in the butterfly. My mother-in-law also had a picture that was put in a photo frame, just of some little thank yous for entrusting me with her son, etc. And I bought this on Etsy as well. A couple that I did just forget, not because they're not important. We made our own signs. So for the guest book, we had a heart-shaped acrylic sign, and we had gold lettering on it that said, please sign this book, please scan the QR code, etc. These were quite easy to do. So the gold lettering I bought, again, I think off Amazon. And I just laid the lettering down so that it looked like it was joined. It was just much easier and much neater than doing it myself, but it was still very time consuming because I wanted it to be perfect. The other thing that my mum also made was she sewed us a ring cushion and embroidered my name and my partner's name onto it, as well as the date that we got married, and she added some lace from her wedding dress on it as well. So it was very sentimental, and obviously we still have that. And I think that that's properly it now. And I think that that is all of the DIY projects that we did for our wedding. Obviously there's quite a lot and I did run through them quite quickly. So the first video of my wedding dress was out last weekend. Next will be out in December. I believe they will be out on Wednesdays, so you don't have too long to wait. And the videos where I went over all of the flowers that I crocheted for the wedding is also already out. So if there is anything else that you are particularly interested in, send me a message or drop a comment below and I will try to go into it in a bit more detail. But hopefully you've enjoyed the ideas that I've given in this video. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and have got a few ideas from it. Until next time, take care. If you wanted to reach out, there are links below on how you can do this. And other than that, if you've liked this video, please subscribe or like. And until next time, take care. Bye.